Hi Sham, my name is Shaheen and I like the request to the chairwell last week. That was an urgent one. My students require the new um, key code for the SolidWorks and no one responded to me yet. Well, I can you tell me how can I pull the ticket number? I'm in the chairwell now. Uh, yeah, okay. So I click that one. That's it. Um, there's no. I got to the service catalog. Which one should I click now? Yes. Mhm. No, it says I need something. My request. My request. Yeah, my request. Okay, so this is coming up. I think the last one I lodged was need license for a student. The ticket number is 380208.
Excuse me, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, only.
Uh, Today is my first day on this class.
Okay, your name is?
I'm Ramitu.
Bear with me. I'll be with you in a few minutes. I'm gonna call now.
Okay.
Ramitu, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, you are group 8 and your teammates are Mark Raphael and Jack White. All right? So you have to select a project. This is already late. I mean, you're supposed to select this by week 1, but I help you today to choose a project. Just bear with me. I'm following up the software installation for your class and then I'll be with you. All right? Thank you.
Okay. Sir.
Yes?
Actually, sir, I don't know who are them, and they aren't in the class now.
Yeah, I introduce you together. Don't worry. Just bear with me.
Okay.
Morning, Ahmed. Morning, Nguyen. I'll be with you in a few minutes. We wait for the rest of the students to join and then we start. Morning, Ahmed. Yes, I'm there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like I said, some of the students have installed this using the old key code. If there's a procedure they can't go, they can't start from the beginning. That I appreciate that. It's very frustrating if they have to uninstall and reinstall. Sometimes it runs into trouble. Yeah, yeah. I think with the student with the yeah. Yeah, I understand the educational license, they are not entitled to any support from the SolidWorks. That I think IT people know that. When they are using educational hack, they are not entitled to any support. Yeah, that's the point. All right, I look forward to receive that. Just please keep in mind this is an urgent. It's already too late. I need a quick action, please. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. No, no, that's terrible. That's terrible. I don't promote them to do that. For 2 3 years, I'm telling IT Citrix does not work for my student, and no one is listening. Right? So that's the last thing I want them to do. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Yeah. You too. Bye. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Shahin is here. So I was just following up on the issue of SolidWorks installation, and I'm looking to receive the new code such that when we you can reinstall the SolidWorks on your computer. So luckily, as you have been notified, tomorrow is a public holiday, and for that we had to shift the class to the um, this Friday. So that gives us more time to wait for the installation. Okay, so hopefully before Friday, I provide you with an update how to install or reinstall your SolidWorks. Okay, so that is the key for uh, starting your project or completing your assessment task. And meanwhile, um, for your SolidWorks requirement, I encourage you to keep an eye on TD 195. So there are plenty of time that lab is not being used. So you're welcome to go there and use any of those computers. They have the SolidWorks to um, complete your assessment task or to work on your project. All right. So here I have Withong, still not allocated to any team. Withong, are you with me? Can you hear me, Withong? Okay, With, good morning. Do you have any preference? I'm sharing with you the screen and you can see the name of the student. Do you have any preference? I need to um, add your name to one of the existing teams. So I'm just, if you have any preference, let me know. Otherwise, I have to add you to a existing team. Any response with one? Okay, with. Um, okay, yeah, if you have any group in mind, just let me know quickly. Otherwise, I have to choose a team for you. Okay, I add you to the team with Sehrish, Nguyen, and Fotis. All right. So I'm adding you to this team. Just once we get into the computer lab, please come to the computer lab Friday, and I get you introduced to your rest of your teammates. So your teammate, Sehrish, she's a student from Pakistan. Nguyen, maybe you know him already. Fotis is a wonderful team leader. I had the chance of meeting him, and I'm sure you are in good hands. You have a good team leader there. So the title of your project is Water Management Tools for Monitoring Groundwater. So they want to develop a tool which can monitor the level of groundwater. Okay, so be in touch with them. You know how to join the Canvas group and post an announcement, request for a meeting, and just have a um, remote um, communication with them. All right, the next thing is the group with Chaisal. Chaisal, I wait for you to respond to me. This is already late. You haven't let me know anything. Chaisal, I'm kind of disappointed with you. What is the update? Chaisal, are you there? Can you hear me? Porty, Samuel. Anyone hears me? Samuel, Chaisal? Yeah, yeah. Well, I waited for both of you to give me an update. You said you're not happy with the title of your project, and you're supposed to give me an update last week. You haven't. So what is the situation now? Okay. Um, I make this one a. So I change the title of your project, a simple windmill to pump surface water. All right, now I think we have all teams formed, and that's just the beginning. So I want to see more activities within the teams. So when you do an activity, I will be notified, right? So let it be an announcement you send, you invite people for a meeting, you have discussions, you are recording something, everything I will be notified. And so far, let me tell you that I'm not quite happy with the progress. Only few teams are showing sign of activity. Other teams, look, you only have very limited time to start a big task. Don't underestimate this unit. I mean, if you don't start early, the chances are you won't be happy. Okay. Any question before we start? All right. Here it is. Week three: project management and teamwork. So today we are going to talk about how you can manage your project, how can you be more productive in your teamwork and more responsible. On behalf of those present, I acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of Kulin Nation, who are the traditional custodians of the land on which we now meet. I pay my respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging. I also pay my respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people of Australia and hope that the path toward reconciliation continues to be shared and embraced. All right, so I want to see activities within your teams, and the first thing first. So, who can tell me what is the most fundamental step for starting a project? I mean, if you want to initiate a discussion in your team, what would be the best topic for that? How do you start communicating with your teammate? What topic would you like to discuss? Anyone? All right. Can I ask, for example, from Barnaby? Barnaby, what would be the best starting point for group discussion? What would you discuss among your team regarding your project? So anyone, feel free to text or use your microphone to respond to my question. This is a general question put to the entire class. So the answer is looking at you. So don't go away. So answer to my question. Anyone wants me to repeat my question? My question is, if you want to start a discussion in your team regarding your project, what would be the most fundamental thing to discuss? Ahmed, Barnaby, Chaisal. Yes, thank you, Barnaby. Wonderful. That is the answer I wanted to hear. And how many people have started scoping their project yet? How many people have already got into defining the scope? So let me just put this in a poll, and I want to hear from everyone. Okay, can I get everyone answering to this poll, please? Okay, Ramitu, Nguyen, Barnaby, wonderful. Chaisal, Shah, Porti, what about you, Ahmed? What about Ethan Lee? What about James? Ethan? Natasha, will you answer to the question, please, on your screen? Can you see the question on your screen, Natasha, Ethan, and Wit? The answer is a simple yes or no. All right. Can I ask, for example, Porthy? Porthy, can you tell us what did you discuss regarding the scope? Natasha, yes. Okay. So response yes, please. So if anyone can use their microphone, would you give us a brief about what did you discuss about the scope? How did you go about defining the scope? And then what does it mean to define the scope? Right. You do need to define the scope. That is to adjust the expectations, right? When you say, I want to construct a building, there are expectations. This is not quite clear. You want to define the scope. You say, look, I'm going to make a residential building. I'm going to build a commercial building. So two different titles, two different scoping, right? So you want to add, this is a single story residential apartment. So that is a better definition of the scope. So people who are listening, they adjust their expectation to say, look, okay, we don't expect a multi-story building. This is not a commercial. This is not a shopping center. That's for people to live. Okay, so that makes a big difference, doesn't it? So the same is for your project. So if you don't define the scope, there are wrong expectations amongst your client, for your teacher, and then for no matter what project you are doing, the most basic, the most fundamental decision to be made, that is to define the scope. And then there is a problem here. So you want to compete, you want to win a project. So imagine that you want to win a project. There are other project manager, there are other engineering team which can deliver similar projects. So how can you convince your client that you are the best to do that job? So if they don't choose you, if they go with another um, engineering team, you are not going to have any job. So it is very important to define the scope to make it attractive and true for your client. So you always have to be in a lookout, you have to be in negotiation with your client, you have to understand their problem. So the reason people would choose you is if the scope that you are defining, that matches the requirement. So if you fail to match your project scope with the requirements of the client, they're going to go with another seller, with another provider. So this is very vital, not only because your project is scoped and then it's been defined based on that scope. Also, this is a demonstration that you understand what the real problem is. Okay, so we discussed about the scoping the project, and as a matter of fact, this is one of the first things you have to report back within your group team. You have to make this crystal clear that I know the scope of my project. So use some qualifying terms, some measurable terms to define your project. When you say a windmill, you need to scope it. You say, okay, this windmill can deliver. Okay, so that is with Natasha. You can see the screen. Is that the same with everyone, or this is just Natasha? Who else is experiencing the problem? Who can see my screen? Just a quick response, please. Okay, so Natasha, maybe this is an issue with your connection. It might be just for you. Thank you, Samuel. Would you rejoin the session? Yeah. Try to rejoin quickly. And if you have multi tabs open, close. Just confine yourself to single tab. Don't open multi tabs. All right. Thank you, Natasha. All right. So yes, I tell you how to define the scope of your project. What the steps can you take to define your scope? And the next thing you want to discuss is scheduling. All right. So scheduling is not that difficult. I mean, this is tough. You only have less than 10 weeks to conduct the project. So that is very tough, believe me. And yeah, I want everyone to be active. You have very limited time, but in terms of the scheduling, you have very limited time. Resources, yes, we know what resources are available. That is not difficult. And documentation. So, who can tell me what is the most important documentation for the project? So, from what you understand so far, what is the most important documentation in this project? Chase out. What is the most important documentation for this project? You have to produce and deliver. All right. Anyone can answer this question? Yes. Thank you, Chaisal. And then this report, where do you submit this report to? Chaisal? Or anyone else? Where this report should be submitted to? So your report have to be submitted to your teacher, and also it have to be submitted to the Engineering Without Border, right? So you have to participate in an Engineering Without Border challenge. Thank you, Shah. So um, yes, that's good. You know what we are expected. And risk management, yes, that is a general indispensable part of any project. You have to be aware of the risk. And other documents, I mean, definitely you want to construct a 3D model representing your design. And improving practices, how can you choose the best practices? We do need to know what are the best practices and how they can improve our project. And lifelong learning is just, if you repeat the same project over and over, every time, that is supposed to be better and better. And then that can only be done if we are open to the learning and just listening to other people. All right. So if you remember from last week, I mentioned that engineering method is a generic problem solver. So no matter what problem, no matter how small, how large the problem, the engineering method can solve the problem. So in this case, every person in this class has a project. So this is your problem. You want to solve it. How do you solve? You start with client brief. So you need to identify what are the needs of my client. So to understand the need of your client, you have to explore the EWB portal, and after registration. So let me ask, this is a very late but crucial question. So could you please give me a quick response, please, just for getting the numbers? It's a very simple task. It's just I'm trying to help. Yeah. All right. Not surprisingly, Rami, too, I understand you came late to the class. So please go to the recorded lectures from last week or watch the modules in week one, week two. That is a simple procedure which you can quickly, even if you Google, I want to register with EWB challenge, that would give you the website. And once you go there, Rami, too, you have to provide them your Swinburne email. All right. So just provide them Swinburne email, give them the information they ask, and then you'll be registered. It's not a big deal, but you have to do this very quickly. Rami, can you confirm you listen to my clarification? Yes.
Yes.
All right. Do that now. Just don't delay it. Thank you. All right. I still don't have responses from Fotis, from Samuel. I hope they're listening. And same with James. Okay. Thank you, James. Still, yeah. Thank you, Fotis and Samuel. Are you there? Can you hear me, Samuel? All right. Thank you. Just try to be quicker from now on. All right. So yes, you have to be in contact with EWB challenge. I mean, contact, you never send them email or something like that. Just reading the material, reading the exploring the map which I provided compiled for you. That is how you would be briefed about the need of the client. So every team by now they have chosen a key topic. The topics are water resources, waste management, energy, and then all that. So yes, this is, you are doing the client brief. That is, eventually the output from that is you have to itemize a number of needs. So this is a key part of your project. When I say scoping the project, everyone should have maybe 5 or 6 bullet items which describes the need. Okay. Look, I want to have for example, a windmill. My windmill has a footprint of 50 centimeter by 50 centimeter, and it should be not taller than 1.5 meter. So then this has a stroke. That is how much the crank would travel vertically. This is one item you can report as a need. And then that has to handle merely clean water. It's not for muddy, it's not for sewage, that's for the clean water. And yeah, that should be cheap, that should be um, constructed using the simply available material like PVC pipe, like cement, something like that. So these are, you are doing the scope, and once you finish the scope, the output from the scope is, you know, in bullet items, what are the expectations, what are the measurable expectation of the client, and then you do the research. So the research in your case, I mean, you can do the web search, you can look into the handbooks, in publications, into the web pages, into books, into YouTube channels. I already provide you a list of YouTube channel which provides similar project, do it yourself DIY. And then the next step in the engineering method is to find alternatives. So at this stage, when you want to do a project, it is good to have some options. So options show how open you have been with your thinking. And an alternative is telling me that, look, I'm not inventing the wheel. I know what other people have done this, and I have some options. So I explained to you where you can find alternatives. A good source is to search into the patents, yes, catalog, brochures, similar competitors, provider of the service. And then once you have options, you have to make your mind. You are going to implement only one project. So that can only be done if you evaluate your alternatives. So you have 5 alternatives. By evaluating them, you need to rank them, give them a score, and sort them according to their score. Say, look, this is the best, that's the second best, this is the third best, and you should be explain how did you evaluate them, how did you arrive at the conclusion that this is the best. So once you evaluate, you freeze the best solution, and then you choose. You choose the best option, and then you try to recommend it. So recommendation means you are ready to go for detailed design, and then you start making 3D models and just if you have to purchase something, if you have to just design something, you know you have all the guidelines to start your design. All right, thank you. Appreciate Ramitu your prompt action. All right, so that is the engineering method. And depending how many problems are in your project, maybe you have to apply the same method for all mini problems inside your project. So your project is composed of a number of mini problems. Each mini problem is solved by the engineering method. So engineering method is the inner loop, and that is a problem solver. So how does it work? It is cracking a large problem into smaller problems, and then smaller problems you keep breaking them to smaller pieces until they are simple enough and they are solvable. uh, you only have to allocate them with resources, with time, and then get them solved. Okay, any questions so far? All right, so that is called um, this is when you employ the engineering method within your project management. So once you finish your degree, the chances are the best student in the class would have a chance of becoming the project managers. And project managers, yes, they could be engineers, but generally speaking, these are more important people. These are people who have authority to recruit people. They are being paid well. They have big responsibilities. They are natural leaders. So I hope all of you would consider this option. And then look, this unit is your chance. If you if you plan this project properly, if you manage it properly, yes, that would qualify you to become a project manager of the future. So let's be more specific about how do we go about defining the scope. So when you define the scope, that would identify the steps, that would identify how many tasks you need to complete. And that is a part of the contract. So it is very critical for you to fix it at the onset. Why can't we postpone scoping? Look, let me ask this from, for example, um, Fotis. Fotis, what is wrong if I scope my project just in the middle of the project? What might go wrong then? Or Barnaby, or Natasha, why can't we scope the project right in the middle of the project? Why should it be at the first step? A quick answer, please. Okay, if you don't finalize the scope at the beginning, then your contract is not set. So it's going to be a loose contract. That means when you, yes, this is a guide. Exactly, Natasha. This is a guide to do the project. And if you don't have a guide, guess what? There are going to be disagreements between you and the client. And the only way you can resolve these differences legally is by referring to the scope. So imagine that you are in the middle of the project. Suddenly, your client say, "Look, you were supposed to make me a three-story building. Why you are making a two-story building? So how can you fix this?" That is not fixable unless you set that in the contract, because you sign the contract to start the project. Once you start the project, that becomes the legal basis for resolving the differences, the arguments. And if it is not scoped properly, you will be in a big trouble. Okay, losing your job is the least which might happen to you. You might go bankrupt, you might go to the jail if your project is not defined well. And believe me, this happened in past. The client can make a lawsuit, say, look, this guy is not delivering what they're supposed to do, and that is your word against theirs. Unless this is being defined in the scope, so they can bring you to the court of law, and you will be sorry for not doing that. Is that clear to everyone? Would you give me a feedback if you understood my description? So, are you with me? Change your status. Let me know if you are listening, if you understood what I said. I'm still waiting. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, James. Thank you, Samuel. Go on, Porty. Want to say something? Yeah. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, Barnaby. All right, good. Thank you, Nguyen. Thank Chaisal, Nijil. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, when you want to do the scope, it's very look. That is the assessment task for your project. You have to do the scoping, and then this is a natural question. You might ask me, Shaheen, how can I scope my project? And this is the answer. Ask yourself the following question. Okay, so the first thing is you have to think of the what are the individual part of the product. Okay, so someone is making a windmill, definitely they have to think of the structure. So the structure is the size of the structure can be something interesting to put in the scope document. There are some check valve you have to include in that. All right, so there is a capacity. What is the capacity of the pumping? So the capacity of the pump, surprisingly, the unit is meter. So my pump can pump the water 25 centimeter. That's how much it can pump the water. It can pump water half a meter. It can pump water. The stronger the pump, the larger the meter. So a pump which can do 50-meter pumping, that's a very strong pump. All right. So the next question you ask yourself is, are these components readily available? Okay. So do I need to develop any software? Do I need to buy something? Do I need to buy something and modify? Or is there a waste or rubbish which I can recycle, I can repurpose? In your case, because you have limited access to resources, you have to think of the available material which are regarded as waste, but they are not waste, they can be repurposed. So imagine you have a broken hair dryer. So the hair dryer has a DC motor. So that DC motor can be repurposed for using an air blower. So air blower, why do you need an air blower? Maybe your project is to make a cooking burner. That cooking burner requires air blow to just atomize the used oil, and that used oil atomized sprayed over a hot point, it would vaporize, and that vaporization is a gas which is burnable. You can use that vaporized gas for burning. All right. So the next question you ask yourself, okay, how much time is needed? So yes, in the scope document, you can put the time. All right. So how much time will be required for systems integration? So that's an assembly. So the next question is whether this component can be developed in series or parallel. So do you have to wait for a subsystem to finish before you start another subsystem, or are you able to develop them in parallel? These are the questions you think when you are defining your scope. So scheduling is to do with the time. You can't control something, you can't plan something without having a time, a meaningful time. So the meaningful time means sometimes we call this a timeline. So first thing first, you have to know when it starts, when it ends. So it starts, sorry guys, it already has started. Now we are in week 3. And yes, go on, Ramitu. If you want to use your microphone, use. I'm listening. You want to say something, Ramitu? Let's go on.
Sir, today is my first day, no? So I don't know my group mates yet.
Yeah, Ramitu, you have to wait for that. I Well, I see that none of your teammates are now in the class. So one of them is Mark, one of them is Jack, so they are not in the class yet.
So
Also the
what should I do?
Sehush. Yeah. Ramitu, this is not a late enrollment. I think you were enrolled from the beginning, right?
Yeah, yeah, but I came to Australia on last week Wednesday.
All right. Look, I do everything to help you knowing your teammates and getting your work started. All right. Uh, just it might need a clarification. Fotis, why you are saying that? So, Fotis, your teams are here. Your teams, Fotis, are Nguyen, Sehrish, and Withong. I haven't changed you that as it was last week. I only added Withong to your team. Fotis, is that clear? Um, you want to? Yeah, yeah, that's fine. I'm adding Withong to Jack. Yeah, I put Jack Withong to Mark, Ramitu, and Jack White. Are you happy for this now? For this? Why you are so confused? Use your microphone for this. Tell me what makes you.
I think the confusion is that we're talking about two different Jacks.
Yeah, well, we have one Jack White. Which other Jack are you talking about?
So Viet Huang also goes by Jack. That's his preferred name.
I didn't know his name is Jack.
Fair enough. That's okay. My bad. Don't worry about it.
So now, Fotis, you are. Do you want to be with? Do you want to be with Withong? Do you want Withong to your team? Fotis,
Yeah, the way
you
you
are the
had it
team
before
leader.
is fine.
Okay, let me bring him because
Yeah,
I
sorry
told
for
him
the
lots of
confusion.
nice things about you. I told him you are a wonderful team leader. So it would be pity if he is not in your team. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Sorry for the confusion. I just got confused, that's all.
Yeah. Today I got with Hong. That was an enrollment issue, and he was left without any team. I gave him an option to choose his team, and then it just happened that he came to your team. So I guess
Yeah, no,
now
that's fine.
you
That's
know.
fine.
Yeah, yeah. Nguyen, Serrish, Withong, Fotis is your teammate, and the title of your project is Water Management Tool. And sorry, I didn't know the nickname for Withong is Jack. So I was referring to the Jack White. He doesn't have a nickname. His name is Jack, family White. All right. Thank you,
Yep, yep.
everyone. Any problem, feel free to stop me, and I'm here to clarify things for you. If things are confusing, that is my fault. Just let me make this clear to everyone. Thank you, everyone. All right, so let's go. Nothing secret about the start time. Now we are in week 3. Nothing secret about the deadline. You have to present your report in week um, 11, and you have to submit your report in week 12. All right, so these are the deadline. Milestones. What are the milestones? The best milestones you can think of are research, alternatives, evaluate, decide, recommend. So these are your milestones. So when there is a milestone for your alternative, when there is a milestone for the brief, client brief, your milestone is to make a bullet items and tell me 5 measurable things which describe your project. That is the first milestone. The second milestone is research. You need to document, tell me how did you go about the research? How did you know your client? How did you understand the engineering without border challenge? How did you understand the major themes? Alternatives, that is, you have chosen a project, you think that there are few alternatives which can solve the problems. So that is a milestone. You have to include that in your report. And then every team member should elaborate one alternative. For example, you have 4 alternatives, a team of 4 people. Every team member should take responsibility of one alternative to elaborate, to discuss. And then the next milestone is you have to give scores to each alternative such that you can rank them. You can tell, look, this is the best alternative, this is the second best alternative, the third and fourth. And then the next milestone is freezing, or we call that in a jargon, we call this embodiment or making a decision. Decision is you freeze the best solution and you are ready to do the detailed drawing. Your detailed drawing is the recommendation, and then you finish the milestones for that particular problem. All right, so where were we? Milestones, and you have to estimate how much effort you have to put in every activity. Activities can be in parallel, activities could be in series, depending what their inputs and outputs are. So, and amount of the time for each activity. So, are you a good person who can visualize the future? You can predict the future. You can anticipate what might happen then, because you need to anticipate any risk. You might anticipate any challenge, and those have to be included in your plan such that you can plan for them. You can be prepared for them. So from time to time, you have to revise your plan. So the plan is like a living creature. This is not a dead image. This is something, it lives day by day, it changes day by day, and you should be there watching it, making this updated, making this renewed. Otherwise, your plan is not realistic. Okay, so this is a simple scheduling. All right. So how many milestones are here? Client brief, planning, problem definition, research, selection criteria, alternative solution, analysis, decision, reporting. So I'm telling you, this is a cheat slide. So everyone is welcome to use this slide for making their plan. So then your question would be, all right, so what is the difference between my plan and other groups' plan? So the difference is these are just a milestone. These are the mini problems. So for every mini problem, you have to break them into smaller steps, to smaller milestones, to smaller tasks. That makes your plan different with some other people. So in another word, this plan is generic. This plan can be used for as a template for everyone, and then you customize this template according to your own project. So I really need to listen from you if you understood my description. So please give me a feedback if you understood what I said, or if you didn't, just change your status to confused. I'm happy to say it with different terms. All right, so your time. Give me a feedback, please. Yes, I'm still waiting. Okay, thank you, Shah. What about everyone else? Do you want me to repeat? Thank you, Nguyen. All right, Ahmed, thank you. Ahmed, you can change your status by going to the lower. Yes, there is a way of changing your status. Thank you, Chaisal. This is like a. Okay, Ahmed, you want me to explain? That's good. You're confused. I'm happy to explain again. Is that what you meant? You want me to explain again, Ahmed? Are you? All right. So let me explain. Please, everyone, listen again. So for your project, a project plan, a project schedule is very important. So this schedule is a matrix. In the vertical, it shows the generic milestones. In the horizontal top headings, that shows the weeks, week 1 to week 12. So now you know, for example, that the client need have to be done in week 1. The planning is an ongoing thing between week 1 and week 11. Problem definition should be completed by end of this week, between week 2 and week 3. Research has to be done between week 2 to week 5, and then like so. So that is a very brief schedule. In real life situation, the schedule has many rows. Here, how many rows we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In real project, in your report, I expect to see a schedule which has something like 20 lines, 30 lines, 40 lines, for example. And then this schedule is a generic. No matter what project you do, that schedule applies to your project. This, if even if you want to send a missile to the moon, yeah, that is the right schedule. If you want to make a simple project, that's the schedule. What makes this different? The difference is the detail. So this is a template you start with, and then you modify, you insert new rows when it comes to the planning. Ahmed, your planning is different with of the other team. Your research is different with theirs. So research is a mini problem. You have to break that into smaller pieces. How do I do research for a windmill? How do I do research for a pump, pedal operated pump? All right. So your analysis is different with them. So then by adding the detail, by inserting the rows, your schedule, your timeline would be different with theirs. So is that any clearer now? Anyone? This is a cheater slide. Everyone is welcome to use this slide when they are making their own timeline, but don't forget to add detail to that, right? So this is a starting point. By adding the detail, that is something meaningful. So a template is not something you present in your report. So, but that's a good starting point. Okay, what resources are needed for your project? So that's the next question you should ask yourself. So you are making a balance between what time is available and what physical resources you have, what are the scope of the project, what is the quality of the work. So if you manage to establish that balance for your work, good luck for you. I mean, well done. So you are doing a group project and with other students cohorts. And so you have to decide who can make the best contribution to which part of the project. Maybe someone is a just record keeper, someone is organizing the meetings, someone is just doing the 3D modeling, someone is doing the research, yes, someone is evaluating the options, someone is researching the catalogs, the brochures, the similar products, the YouTube channels, do-it-yourself projects, something like that. So this is a very, that's a Tom Wojcik. He's from the Autodesk. Autodesk is a company who develops the computer program, and they made a marshmallow problem. So they want to make who can build the tallest tower. I'm running this video for you. Later on, you can watch this from the slide if you wish.
Several years ago here at TED, Peter Skillman introduced a design challenge called the Marshmallow Challenge. And the idea is pretty simple. Teams of 4 have to build the tallest freestanding structure out of 20 sticks of spaghetti, 1 yard of tape, 1 yard of string, and a marshmallow. The marshmallow has to be on top. And though it seems really simple, it's actually pretty hard because it forces people to collaborate very quickly. And so I thought this was an interesting idea, and I incorporated it into a design workshop, and it was a huge success. And since then, I've conducted about 70 design workshops across the world with students and designers and architects, even the CTOs of the Fortune 50. And there's something about this exercise that reveals very deep lessons about the nature of collaboration, and I'd like to share some of them with you. So Normally, most people begin by orienting themselves to the task. They talk about it, they figure out what it's going to look like, they jockey for power, then they spend some time planning, organizing, they sketch in, they lay out spaghetti. They spend the majority of their time assembling the sticks into ever-growing structures, and then finally, just as they're running out of time, someone takes out the marshmallow, and then they gingerly put it on top, and they stand back, and ta-da! They admire their work. But what really happens most of the time is that the ta-da turns into an uh-oh, because the weight of the marshmallow causes the entire structure to buckle and to collapse. So there are a number of people who have a lot more uh-oh moments than others. And among the worst are recent graduates of business school. It's amazing. They lie, they cheat, they get distracted, and they produce really lame structures. And of course, there's teams that have a lot more ta-da structures. And among the best are recent graduates of kindergarten. And it's pretty amazing, as Peter tells us. Not only do they produce the tallest structures, but they're the most interesting structures of them all. So the question you want to ask is, how come? Why? What is it about them? And Peter likes to say that none of the kids spend any time trying to be CEO of Spaghetti Inc., right? They don't spend time jockeying for power. But there's another reason as well. And the reason is that business students are trained to find the single right plan, right? And then they execute on it. And then what happens is when they put the marshmallow on top, they run out of time. And what happens? It's a crisis. Sound familiar, right? Okay, what kindergartners do differently is that they start with the marshmallow and they build prototypes, successive prototypes, always keeping the marshmallow on top. So they have multiple times to fix and build prototypes along the way. So designers recognize this type of collaboration as the essence of the iterative process. And with each version, kids get instant feedback about what works and what doesn't work. So the capacity to play and prototype is really essential. But let's look at how different teams perform. So the average for most people is around 20 inches. Business school students, about half of that. Lawyers, a little better, but not much better than that. Kindergartens, better than most adults. Who does the very best? Architects and engineers, thankfully. 39 inches is the tallest structure I've seen. And why is it? Because they understand triangles and self-reinforcing geometrical patterns are the key to building self-reinforced or the stable structures. So CEOs, a little bit better than average, but here's where it gets interesting. If you put an executive admin on the team, they get significantly better. It's incredible. You know, you look around, you go, oh, that team's going to win. You can just tell beforehand. And why is that? Because they have special skills of facilitation. They manage the process. They understand the process. And any team who manages and pays a close attention to work will significantly improve the team's performance. Specialized skills and facilitation skills, the combination leads to strong success. If you have 10 teams that typically perform, you'll get maybe 6 or so that have standing structures. And I tried something interesting. I thought, let's up the ante once. So I offered a $10,000 prize of software to the winning team. So what do you think happened to these design students? What was the result? Here's what happened. Not one team had a standing structure. Not one had, if anyone had built, say, a 1-inch structure, they would have taken home the prize. So isn't it interesting that high stakes have a strong impact? We did the exercise again with the same students. What do you think happened then? So now they understand the value of prototyping. So the same team went from being the very worst to being among the very best. They produced the tallest structures in the least amount of time. So there's deep lessons for us about the nature of incentives and success. So you might ask, why would anyone actually spend time running a marshmallow challenge? And the reason is I help create digital tools and processes to help teams build cars and video games and visual effects. And what the marshmallow challenge does is it helps them identify the hidden assumptions. Because frankly, every project has its own marshmallow, doesn't it? The challenge provides a shared experience, a common language, a common stance to build the right prototype. And so this is the value of the experience of this so simple exercise. And those of you who are interested may want to go to marshmallowchallenge.com. It's a blog that you can look at how to build the marshmallows. There are step-by-step instructions on this. There are crazy examples from around the world of how people tweak and adjust the system. There's world records that are on this as well. And the fundamental lesson, I believe, is that design truly is a contact sport. It demands that we bring all of our senses to the task and that we apply the very best of our thinking, our feeling, and our doing to the challenge that we have at hand. And sometimes a little prototype of this experience is all that it takes to turn us from an uh-oh moment to a ta-da moment, and that can make a big difference. Thank you very much.
All right, so let's move on. That was a case study regarding the teamwork. And so you have your own group. How can you make this more effective? All right. So the first thing is you have to make your purpose clear. That is why I encourage everyone to finalize the scoping of the project. That is one of the deliverable items. In week 5, you have to make this milestone, and then I expect every group to publish on their group or download a document in their group which clarifies the bullet items, that they know what their clear purpose is. So that would tell me that they know what they are doing. That would tell me that they have explored the problem, they understood the problem clearly, and there is no room for confusion. So they can finalize the contract, they can sign it, and knowing the best guideline for completing the project. Also, the communication and coordination. So you have some great tools at your disposal to communicate together. So yes, during the lecture class, that is a chance you can meet each other. Also, in the computer lab, you can meet, but that is not enough. That is not adequate. If you need more communication, if you need more coordination, which you do need, definitely these classes and the computer labs are not enough for completing the project. You do need to spend extra hours outside the class, perhaps during the weekend, after hours, just whenever suits all team members. And once you agree on the time, you can communicate easily by Canvas group. And as I explained the other day, I demonstrate to you, look, here that is a team, for example, by Barnaby. Barnaby wants to have a team, and what he does is here he goes to the big blue button and he make a conference. So this conference give him a name, and once you have the name description, and when they create this conference, um, let's call this meeting 1. All right, so how long you want this meeting to be? 60 minutes. You want to record this? Yes. And waiting room description, let's meet to compile a need list and clarify a common purpose. All right, so that is a meeting. Who you want to attend, right? So these are the attendees, your team people. And when you create, right? So this is being created, and you can start this anytime. Once you start, your teammates can use their webcam, they can use their microphone in a very same way that we do in the Collaborate Ultra. So you can talk together. This is a private conference. Only your team members can attend. And I don't want you to do the meeting using the Facebook, using the Messenger, and for clear reasons. If you do those things, myself as your teacher, as your supervisor, cannot evaluate, cannot give you a mark. So whatever you do there, that won't be accessible. So you can start, you can record, and so when you conclude the conference, it would be listed here. So I quickly can sneak and then see who did what when, and believe me, these are accessible things. If your group thinks is empty, that's an indication that you have not engaged enough, you have not done a teamwork. All right. So the next thing is time efficient process. So how can you make a meeting more efficient? Anyone has an experience. If you want to run a meeting, how can you make the meeting more efficient? Can I hear from people who have experience? Have you ever had the experience of running a project either in your high school, before, just between, or even in university? Did you have any experience of time management or making a process more effective? Specifically talking about the meeting. How can you make a meeting more effective? Anyone? James, do you have any comment? Porty, Ramitu, Samuel, Withong, Chaisal, Barnaby, Ahmed. Okay, thank you. All right, what about you, Barnaby? What about you, Fotis? Define goal. Excellent. Excellent. So when you are inviting people, you have to define the goal. So the meeting is not just for the sake of meeting, right? So this is a very loose meeting. It's a people, let's meet Friday and see what we can do. That's a very loose, that's a very inefficient way of doing things. So like what Barnaby mentioned, uh, you have to invite people and tell them, look, we are meeting to do that. So you have to make an agenda. Making an agenda makes things more efficient, right? All right. So thanks for that. Um, okay. The next thing is charter clear behavior guide. I mean, I try to make a simple illustration of the charter clear behavior. So what I added to your canvas shell was to in week 3. Um, that's very sad. I mean, in the past experience, I noticed changes that people are not contributing enough to the teamwork, right? So these cartoons are just a way of saying what is the best practice for teamwork. So getting a free ride, is that a good practice? No, it is not. So one people is doing the job, other people are complaining and just doing nothing, or taking a free ride, or someone is being selfish. So that is not limited to this project only, to any project. Um, so to a good practice is you to define for every member in the team, tell them, look, your role is this. And accountability, so people should be accountable for what they do. And believe me, when you are making a Gantt chart, it's not just the task and the time. Also, you have to include the resources. The resources means people. The resource means software. The resource means training. So when you are adding detail to your timeline, you would identify the roles. You say, look, who is responsible for doing what, and when they are supposed to start it, when they are supposed to have a output ready for delivery. Okay, so here these are the how every team member should behave. So someone, a role is plant. You have to keep generating ideas. You have to be imaginative. You have to go unorthodox. You must be solving difficult problems. It's not just one of them. A project is a collection of several mini problems. You have to solve them. So one role is you want to be investigator, and you have to be enthusiastic, communicative, and you have to be opportunist, just grasping every opportunity you get. And some people, the role they play is to coordinate. So it requires someone mature, someone confident, a good chairperson, a someone who can clarify the goals, someone who can facilitate decision making, and someone who can delegate well. Someone should do a role of sharpening. So sharpening means uh, to be dynamic. So have a very delicate pressure for doing things, starting things, finishing things, driving the courage, overcome the obstacles. Some people have to be auditors or evaluators, and some people, the role is to promote collaboration, and they have to be diplomatic, they have to be good listeners, and they have to avoid frictions. Some people are good implementers, they have to play a role of someone who implements, and someone should play a role of finishing the job or completing a job. Some people should be specialized in something like a software, like 3D modeling, like planning, running the meetings, um, anticipating the problems. So that is, you want to run a meeting. In your meeting, you want to define the purpose. That is called the agenda. So the purpose of the meeting, like what Barnaby said, you have to define the goal, the purpose for the meeting. So what type of meeting you want? Do you want to have a phone meeting? Do you want to have a physical face-to-face meeting? Should it be? Yeah, I suggest you keep that formal, not informal. That the timing, what time is suitable for everyone, and who should participate. What is the procedure? If there are a few agendas, which item should start first, which one second, and how you conclude, how you follow up, make a conclusions, and what is individual contributions. All right, individual contribution means what are you going to contribute to the meeting, for example. All right, so this is a good example of minutes of meeting, and I expect that all groups have several minutes of meeting. This is an accessible items. So if I don't see minutes of meeting in your groups, you won't get a score for that one. So one way of, I mean, this is kind of old-fashioned record keeping, having a paper minutes of meeting. Now that you are using the Canvas group, you can record the meetings, and yeah, that's a good. But having said that, that kind of recorded meeting cannot be included in your engineering without borders challenge, cannot be included in your report. I mean, that is good for oral presentation, but for your writing report, we prefer to have annexes like this paper minutes of meeting is a perfect component for an appendix, an annex in your report. Okay, any questions so far? Any feedback, or just if you want me to clarify on something, just give me a buzz. I'm happy to reword or explain it more. Or if you are following the class, just it's a time for feedback. All right. The next thing is design file. You want to make a documentation. And like I said, your 3D model of the project is because we are not constructing anything, we are not, so your 3D model is your prototype. Does that make sense to everyone? So you are making a virtual prototype. That's a e-prototype. Who knows what prototype is? Anyone can brief us what a prototype is? Do you know the term prototype? I'd be surprised if you don't, but who can comment what the prototype is? Yeah, prototype is a simple version of, yeah, that can be easily defined and changed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Barnaby. And in your case, we are making prototype using the SolidWorks. Is that um, understandable by everyone? So here, let me just give you some examples. Right, so we want to make a prototype. Okay, so here I'm demonstrating to you a prototype of a mechanism. So this mechanism is someone wants to explore the idea of a uh, universal joint. So the universal joint is used in every autocar, and that is to transmit the rotational motion when you have to change the angle of the twist. So you have a power shaft from the engine, and that has to be transferred to the front or rear wheels. So this is typically done by a universal joint, or sometimes they call this a CV joint. And here we are making a virtual prototype. So that virtual prototype, what it does is you construct the things step by step in SolidWorks, part by part, and then put the parts together. And instead of constructing the universal joint, you are making a virtual prototype. So that is what you do for your own project. You're making a pedal operated you're making a pedal operated pump. So you have to make a virtual prototype. So virtual prototype, you make this inside the SolidWorks, and once you construct, that prototype is used to make illustration for your report. So a report without illustration is not worth of marking. Okay, so I think now we are on the same page. So you know what I mean by prototype, and how do you do your prototype for your project and your engineering thought challenge report, presentation, and all that. Okay, so in your report in your documentation. If that's a presentation, your documentation is a PowerPoint. If that is a challenge report, that's a Word document. And I hope everyone had explored the map which I provided for you. There are sample reports, there are templates, all you need. Please explore that map. Please explore the Engineering Without Borders Challenge webpage and make yourself familiarized with the expectation, with the assessment and the requirements. So a design file should include the records of your work, something like hand sketches, something like notes, what kind of search did you do, what meeting did you conduct, and just sample agendas, action plans, and how did you collect the relevant information documentation. This could be, look, you find a company who is making the pedal pump, right? So they have a brochure. So that brochure is a good documentation which you want to include. So you want to make a comparison between your design and some existing commercial product, and that is always a good addition into your reports. Your personal reflection on the process. So you want to reflect. You want to say, look, we did the search in a certain way. We went in a certain way, meeting our teammates, doing the communication, meeting with the client, understanding the problem, um, making the scope, problem solving. So these are your reflections. So whatever we discuss in the class, these are the lectures, these are theories. So your reflections is how did you apply those to solve your own specific problems. Okay, risk management. So risk management, there are two essential tasks with risk management. First of all, you need to anticipate the risk. So if you cannot find the risk, what happens? So that is my question to the class. What happens if we don't anticipate a risk? Anyone can comment on that. Sure. What happens if you don't see a risk? Is this going to disappear? Or is this going to take you by surprise? Whose responsibility is to anticipate the risk? So, team, whoever who is planning the project, they should be anticipating the risk, because if you don't anticipate the risk, you can't be prepared for it. Yes, exactly. Thank you for this. It is a potential for catastrophic failures. So it's not a good excuse. You say, "Oh, I didn't anticipate that." So that was your responsibility. As a good planner, the good planner is someone who can visualize the situation, who either by experience, either by visualization, you are aware of some risk. Okay, so we do have a dedicated lecture for the risk analysis, and we tell you about risk estimation, risk evaluation, and what are the corrective action. But with every risk, you want to know what is the first the first critical question, or what are the risks. Once you know what the risks are, the next thing is, if they do happen, what is the likely impact of the risk. The next important is how likely that risk is. Is it a very likely risk, or is it a very unlikely risk? So all these things you need to answer to do the risk management. So we want to make sure that we are aware of the risk, we are prepared for the risk, and yeah, that is, we come back to this one later on, and we'll have dedicated slides on the risk planning, risk management. All right, so this is a typical matrix for the risk. You want to know the likelihood. The likelihood we score them as almost certain, likely, possible, unlikely, rare. So if I want to give them number, I can score them between 1 and 5. 1, rare, almost certain, 5. Also, I want to know the consequence. And this is called likelihood or the consequence. The consequence could be insignificant, minor, moderate, major, critical. So here I can either give them a number. If something is insignificant, I score them as 1. If something is critical, I score them as 5. And in this matrix, I also am using a color scheme. The color scheme green means something which is not critical, right? So that's a combination of rare risk, which are insignificant or moderate. And then I have a color scheme of yellow, which is average risk in terms of the consequence or in terms of the likelihood. Also, I might have something critical, which is kind of orange, and something which is extremely critical, I use a color scheme of red. So every risk have to be tabulated in a matrix like that. So you can give them a number, and once you have the number, you can evaluate how critical, how important that risk is, and how much you have to be prepared for them. So, so that is how you make your engineering without border challenge. First, that is the client brief. The client brief, my best advice to you is explore the map which I compiled for you, and that is available in week 1 to week 4. So if you go to week 1 to week 4, you find a dedicated tab in your Canvas shell, which is talking about the Engineering Without Border Challenge. So your client is, who is your client? Nguyen, who is your client? Can you tell me who your clients are? Nigel, Porty, Ramitu, Samuel, Shah, Witt, Chaisal, Ethan, Barnaby, Ahmed. Who is your client? Yeah, I'm sure at least someone can answer this question. If one person can answer that question, exactly, Chaisal. Thank you. Aboriginal community, that is your client. So that is those who you are making a product for. Thank you, Chaisal. I appreciate that. All right. So as a result, you have to make sure that you understand that mind map which I created for you, or make sure you're exploring enough the website which explains the um, essential requirements for that client. So all you need to know from that client side is being documented in that engineering challenge website or the associated Aboriginal community website. Okay, and then you do the research, you gather data, create the spreadsheets, look at the catalogs, YouTube channels, you make some discussions, and then you have to bring some alternative solutions. You make some sketches. These sketches could be hand sketch. So, question: if you have 5 alternatives, do you need to have 5 different solid models or 5 prototypes? Anyone can answer this question. So I mentioned that you need something like 3 to 5 alternatives. Do you need to make 5 virtual prototypes, or just you need 1 virtual prototype? So what is the reasonable thing? You want to make 5 prototype or just 1 prototype? Okay, so this is the quick answer. 5 alternatives. Alternatives can be represented in your report by hand sketch, not necessarily the 3D model. It could be a screen a snapshot, it could be a hand drawing, it could be a patent snapshot, just to explain an alternative. So you only need to make a virtual design for the alternative, which is the winner. The winner alternative is after the evaluation, you decide that this is the best alternative, and then this is only when you decide which alternatives to implement, and the one that you implement deserves a 3D modeling. Before that, anything can be done by a hand sketch or just screenshots, images, web images, textbooks, images, or something like that. And once you evaluate things, you implement, your reflection has to be documented as a report. How do you write a report? Well, I made some sample reports, some templates available for everyone. Okay, so improving practice, you have to plan, act, observe, reflect. These are the simple recipes for improving whatever you are doing in the same order. And it's very professional that whatever you do, you keep learning and you are in the lookout for the best practices. You are critical toward what you do and you always try to make them more logic, more effective. And yeah, no matter what the stage of your career you are, you want to be engaged with lifelong learning. So we have some half an hour left. I want you to just um, engaging with your team members who are present in the class and just use the remaining half an hour working on your project. This could be minutes of meeting, making a timeline, um, and you want to find a role, what role you can play in your project. And while you are working on this one, this is a class activity, just doing the attendance list in background. So I'm here standby. If you have any question, feel free to ask me the question. All right. Yes, I'm listening. Well, yes, what is my suggestion is let your teammates know what the agenda for the meeting is, and I want you to record that meeting. So recording that meeting is just helping you with your report. Later on, maybe you want to write the agenda after the class. So a recording would help you to compile a brief minutes of meeting from that report. All right. I appreciate you are taking that. Um, Yeah, I just watch my screen. I show you how to record. All right, just watch my screen for this. Thank you for that. So that is what you do. So you join your group, and so for example, you ask your team that the meeting will start 10:30. So that is when everyone is on available, and then that is, I think your group is. Um, I'm just trying to find your group. Yeah, here you are. Your group is you want to make a tool for monitoring groundwater, right? So from here, you have to go to the big blue button, right? For this, you go to the big blue button, and here, just click that red button. It is called the plus conference. When you plus a conference, just give this a name. So what your meeting name is. So that is, for example, call this meeting one, right? So you want to have this one for 60 minutes, for 30 minutes, whatever. And then when you create that, right? So that is being created. So you just press start, and with that start, everyone in your team would have access to their screen, and you can see each other using your webcam. You can listen to each other using your microphone. And then when does it start, you can choose recording, right? So now I start this one. See what happens. So now I have a screen. Okay, so microphone. So you just answer these questions, and then you enable the camera, you enable the microphone. And then this is how to record. All right, just please go on with this one and let me know how you go with that. You can text here. It's very similar to the Collaborate Ultra. And once you want to start recording, you see that icon here. That is to get started recording. Does that make sense, Fatis? Is that any clear? All right, thank you, thank you. So yeah, I look forward to see how your meeting goes, and I watch your recorded one later on. Thank you, Fatis. And this is only being viewed by team members and perhaps by your teacher, no one else. This is a private thing. That is private amongst your team members and by your teacher, no one else. Is that answering your question, Fatis? Yeah, if you want to see it again, I think from the big blue button, yeah, this is in progress. You see, this is in progress. If I end it, I didn't choose to record, but if I did have this one recorded, people can click and that open for rewatching and all that. So give it a go. If any problem, I'm happy to look into it for you in future. But for now, I think the best way of learning it is by practicing. Yeah, thank you for this. Thank you. If any problem, let me know. Thank you for this. Um, with Honk, I have a class back to back to this one. You can text to me in private, please, or you can meet me during my consult time. So today, unfortunately, I have a class after this one. So um, let me finish with attendance, and I see how can I answer your concern. Wheaton, tomorrow is a public holiday. We have to do that makeup. That's on Friday. I'm happy to talk to you on Friday. All right. So have a look at my announcement, Wheaton. The makeup for tomorrow computer lab is on Friday. I think that starts 2:30. But check my last announcement. It tells you when and where the makeup is. Okay, Wheaton. Yeah, just Ramitu, bear with me. I tell you how to reach them. All right, just bear with me. Let me finish that and that. I will read you. Fotis, I'm sorry. You in this class we have a student from different cohorts, so I understand that your class starts 3:30. I appreciate if you can join my makeup class after 3:30. So that is you miss 1 hour from the class, but that's better than nothing. This is the best time I could find. Believe me, I spent hours and hours to find the best location and what time is suitable for everyone. And this is not perfect, but yeah, Friday was the only available choice we had. Yeah. This is a very mixed cohort. It's not a pure cohort. Okay. Mohammed is away. Sehrish away. Sam is in. Natasha is in. Shashit, Shashit, where is it? Shashit is away. Nguyen Fong, Nguyen is in. And Anjana, Anjana is away. Chaisal is in. Hazar, Imad is away. Virakudi is away. Abdullah is away. Ethan, Ethan Lee is in. Ramitu is in. Fotis is in. Ahmed Amjad is in. Nigel is in. Barnaby is in. Shah is in. And Sinan. Sinan is away. Osit. Osit is away. Horty is in. Withong is in. James present. Danhua absent. Jack absent. Mark Raphael absent. Did I miss anyone? So I'm reading the attendees. If I'm missing anyone, let me know to adjust. So Samuel in, Natasha in, Nguyen Fong is in, Chaisal in, Ethan in, Ramitu in, Fotis present, Ahmad Amjad present, Nijil present, Barnaby present, Shah present, and Porty present, Withong present, James present, and that's it. Did I miss anyone? You don't submit a report today. So that is a class activity. I want you to discuss the elements of report writing and scoping the project. So this is a class activity. You're writing regarding the report that starts. The first milestone is week 5, Natasha. But keep an eye on the Canvas shell and the assignment. It tells you when you have something. Yeah, individual assignment. That means you're the reflective piece one. Reflective piece one. Again, I show you where to find the deadline. Okay, if you go to the yeah, this is Natasha. That is your Canvas shell. All right. So here, if you click assignments, your reflective piece is due today. So end of today, you have to submit your first reflective piece. But it is available until 7th of November. If you do a delay between now and 7th of November, you won't get a full mark. You would be penalized for the late submission. Does that make sense, Natasha? Do you understand what I'm saying? So your first reflective piece one, that is 2.5 points. So it is due at the end of today. So when it's due, that is just before the midnight. But if you, for example, do it tomorrow, you would get penalized for submission. And then after 7th of November, you won't be able to submit it anymore. So the more delay, the more penalty. But if you do it by end of today, you won't be penalized. Yeah, you mean assessment task one. All right, assessment task one. Let's see when the assessment task one is due. Just browse here. This is your assessment task one, the one which we started in computer lab. That is due on 7th of November. 7th of November. You have 1 week for that. And you can access the computer lab TD95 to complete the task. And I'm helping you on Friday. So if you come to the Friday class, Natasha, I would help you with your assessment task. If you still have question, use your microphone. I'm listening, Natasha. Did I answer your question? All right, thank you for that. All right, so someone asked me that their teammates are not in the class and how they can um, reach them. Was it you, Ramitu? Is that who asked what
Yes,
the
sir.
reach?
Yeah, sir. It's me.
Ramitu, just watch my screen. Here on Canvas, you see something here which is called inbox. Do you know where your inbox is? So this is your inbox. Can you see it, Ramitu?
Yes, sir.
Okay, click inbox. And what is the name of your teammate? Jack White, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so here first you have to choose the course. The course is you go to this one. That is this is the course. For example, not this one. That is 21. Let me go to 22. Yeah, that is the course. 22 SC3 Design and Innovation. You choose that one, and then here you click that Create New Message. All right. So once you do that, just type the name Jack White and mark. Okay, when you click send, they would be notified about your concern and they get back to you. All right. The other way you can do this is keep watching my screen. So here you are on your Canvas shell and you go to your group. So your group, you find that on the home page, and that is you go to the people and you find your group, and here Ramitu, you are with this group, right? So when you join your group, there is a page when you can communicate with the people, right? So send them an announcement. So your announcement only goes to these people. So when you send this, only your teammate would see that announcement and they get back to you regarding the things. Is that good, Ramitu?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I have to run for my other class. My other class is back to back. Before I leave, if anyone has a question, please let me know. Otherwise, I look forward to see you all on Friday makeup class. Thank you, everyone. See you on Friday. Bye. Thank you, Barnaby. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Chaisal. Thank you, Forti. Thank you, Najil. Thank you, Shah. Ahmed, thank you. See you. Thank you, Natasha.